Hey, macro folks, this is Mr. Hooker, and we are going to wrap up international trade today. So here we go. Arguments for trade protection. They have a few of them here on this slide, but I'm going to give you a couple more too. At least one more. So let's get to it today. National security. So basically, this is one of those things we discovered during COVID. One of the good things that may have come out of that. Countries should protect the domestic suppliers of crucial goods. Um, so we discovered during COVID that we did not make any semiconductors in this country, and a lot of our military weapons relied on semiconductors, as well as our vehicles and all our computers and stuff like that. We didn't make a one of them. Taiwan made them all. So that was one of those things that we had to uh, try to bring on board here in the U.S. And I think now we have three semiconductor plants in Arizona and Texas is where they're located. So this is one of those things that we have just recently figured out. Like you don't want, A, you don't want some other country making your bullets, but B, you also need to figure out the idea of where these things are for nowadays computers. So the semiconductor became, a massive thing during COVID when we realized that one. Two, job creation argument. Protection creates additional jobs. Economists, on the one hand, argue that the jobs are often offset by the jobs lost elsewhere, and those jobs that are protected are extremely expensive. We saw in the last video that the washing machine jobs that we protected cost about $800,000 a job. And yeah, they're not really worth $800,000 a job. So when we start protecting these jobs, it's extremely expensive. And so is it really worth it? Probably not. Remember, that's yours and mine tax dollars doing that. Probably have a better use. Excuse me. Infant industry. New industries need temporary periods of protection. No, they don't. Look, the way that always works, take it from a guy who's been around the block more times than I probably should have been. Um, but the way that works is the ones that do this will always cry. They'll cry into their teen and mid, young adult life as businesses that they need infant industry protection. They never want to get off that government money. They become dependent on that government money to survive. So if you start giving it to them, you'll never be able to stop giving it to them if you want them to survive. So unless it's a business that you just have to keep around, go ahead, give them money. But if you're just doing it because you think that they need to survive for a couple of years, don't do it. They'll never survive without you. Another one is protection from dumping. So dumping is selling goods below cost in another country to get a foothold, and then you basically run out all the domestic producers and take over that country's market. So you sometimes need to help out your local producers to protect them from foreign countries dumping. That is completely legitimate. Um, if dumping is occurring. If no dumping is occurring, yeah, don't do it. But that happens. So go ahead and do that one. So that's another big one that you kind of got to deal with. All right. So countries do care about one another's trade policies. It's kind of like in micro, we all care about fairness. We're like kindergartners that way. So caring about others' trade policies is a thing. So we have these international trade agreements. And in that sense, we had, some countries get a little FOMO. They have that fear of missing out. If they see that a bunch of other people are making trade agreements and they're getting better deals than you are, maybe you would like to be a part of that trade union in that sense. So these international trade agreements are treaties in which countries promise to reduce tariffs in return for promise by the other country to do the same. A couple of the large ones are NAFTA, which really is Merca now, but it was the North American Free Trade Agreement. It's been, replaced by the USMCA. Um, so that's the way that goes in the European Union, customs union among 28 European nations. So global agreements, we have the WTO, which is the World Trade Organization, which honestly, for the most part, is useless. They have no teeth, and that's one of the biggest complaints about the WTO is even if they tell you, hey, you should be doing this, people can look them straight, can look the leaders straight in the face and say, yeah, no, 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 don't do that. So really, it's a place for bad actors to go to look like they are being environmentally good or being good on labor or good on trade. So it's really just a place for bad actors to look good. So they oversee the international trade agreements and rules on disputes between countries upon those agreements. So let's look at the new world of globalization. Manufacturing's taken a fall, at least in the large countries. So we, other wealthy countries like us, we export skill-intensive products like aircraft and import labor-intensive goods like clothing. We see the wage gap between more educated and less educated domestic workers wide. It's not just us; it's us and Western Europe that are doing this. Um, I've spent a good bit of time in Denmark. Denmark does the same thing as us, where they design a lot of stuff, they just don't make a lot of stuff. Um, so like just like we design a lot of the phones, we just don't make the phones. Um, it'd just be too expensive to make. So that's kind of the way that works. So the offshore outsourcing is hiring people in other countries to perform various tasks. Um, it's still relatively small compared with more traditional trade. Um, as a percentage, it is relatively small. All right. Tariff results in a higher consumer surplus, producer surplus, or government revenue. One and two, is it one and two, two and three, one and three, or all three? It is only producer surplus and government revenue. Consumers get nothing. Producers and revenue. That's it. And which argument against trade is the strongest in your opinion? Does it reduce the number of jobs in the U.S. and should therefore be limited? Is it wrong? It's wrong to trade with countries that use child labor. We need to keep some industries for reasons of national security, or we need to protect certain industries while they develop. So that is all there is for this chapter. We will see you in chapter 6.